Alright, we're going to retouch this image next, and for it there are some kind of special situations here. This is a negative that was scanned on a light table, mostly just shot with a camera. It came out pretty sharp, but there's some real problems with it. The negative wasn't set in flat, so it's got some bowed areas and it's got some skinny areas, and it just needs some fixing also with the color. So we'll go ahead and start here with this. And first thing we did was to make a copy. And you just Command J, and then spread them out. Use your crop tool to increase the canvas. Remember, when you do this, if you leave the delete cropped pixels turned on, the background layer will provide the white that you have. Make the duplicate layer first, then expand the canvas, and then just bring these over so they're side by side. Okay, next we talked about changing the color. We talked about warping the image, kind of fixing that part of it. And so I'm just going to select here and turn on my free transform tool, Command T. Remember, with Command T, you can always also find that under Edit, Free Transform. Okay, I'm going to right click here, and first thing I might do is just rotate it a little bit. It seems like it could be straightened a little bit like this, maybe just a little bit. And then I'll right click again, and I'll use some warp on it. For this, we use these little controls on the sides here. I'm going to bring this in. Up at the top, it probably needs to go out instead. Now, we did talk about maybe using the rulers here with the guides. You can bring in a guide, and you can find that straight edge. Just make sure your guides are turned on. Command semicolon. Okay, and that gives you a way of kind of checking this to make sure that it's really straight. And maybe here on the other side too. We'll bring this up and over. You can use a horizontal guide up here at the top to make sure you get that just so. Maybe another guide on this side for this line right there. And how about another one at the bottom to help us keep it square down here. Okay, I'll bring this up. We're just using the warp function with our free transform, the same thing we used that we used when we took the perspective out of that trade show picture. Okay, so I've straightened that up maybe just a little bit more right here. Okay, and I'll commit. Very good. Now, if you're through with the guides and you don't think you really need them, you can leave them up. I might actually use them one more time here to just establish a space for the edge of the picture. Now I've selected that with the rectangle marquee. I'll use my shortcut Shift Command I to select the outside of the rectangle. Press delete, and we can get rid of that extraneous information that we had there. Notice I'm making sure that I stay here on the layer 1 to do all of this. I'm going to turn off my guides. I'm going to turn off the rulers, Command R. And I'm going to deselect Command D. Now you can see the picture looks a little better already. Right, to make it return to black and white, we might want to use adjustment layer. Okay, adjustment layer turns everything black and white until I click right here, and now it's only adjusting the one image that we're trying to repair. And that's good. Okay, so we got some black and white here. There's not a whole lot that you can do with the sliders. If you go too far with the blue, it kind of crystallizes. You can maybe do just a little bit more. Remember, it had that purple cast, so that's really all we're able to adjust is that purple cast, which isn't much. But nice to be able to use the black and white adjustment there. Okay, turning the layer off and on. Okay, we'll have one other adjustment that we might want to add here. Levels is my choice to change the contrast. Contrast's not really very good here. I'm going to click on the button so it adjusts only the layers immediately below. And I'll use my little sliders right here. And you might find some use of the middle slider as well. Bring my whites up just a little bit more. Okay, and just try to find a kind of a happy medium there. It's not probably going to be absolutely perfect. All right, good. We've done those two things. We could go into that main layer and do a little dodging and burning. Almost every picture needs a little of it, and this one probably not any exception. I'll use the burn tool to maybe highlight a little of the details here in the flowers, and maybe strengthen the contrast along this edge, just to kind of make it so it shows that edge a little bit better. Maybe a little dodging might be good here to bring out some of the detail in his hands, maybe. And if it goes too heavy, remember you can change the exposure on that. And I just felt like that was a little bit too much, so I'm going to turn this down up here, and I'll try that just without quite so much. Also on the face, his face is really in shadow. There's not a whole lot you can do with the face because it's really pretty dark, but you might be able to bring out just a little bit of detail around those eyes, like that. Okay, maybe brighten up the corsage. Okay, the last thing we did was to take out the woman that's standing behind here, and for that you can do any number of things. You could try the spot healing brush and see how that works. And it kind of works. It looks a little fake right there. The healing brush, remember with it you option click and then bring in detail. My brush is a little hard. I want to see if I can make it a little bit softer on the edges. Maybe bring a little bit of this stone over here. And again, it looks a little edgy, but maybe alright. Okay. The other tools that we use, you could maybe try the patch. And for it, maybe use the destination setting and just grab a piece of the stone up here and drag it in over here. But it has a kind of a tendency to blur in this white. So my real choice on this is the clone stamp tool. You actually could use the brush. In some cases you can use the brush, but it's just going to add flat tone. And that doesn't look real good. So I'm going to undo that, and I'll use the clone stamp tool instead. Okay, clone stamp tool, I'm going to zoom in. Okay, I don't know what I did there.